Thank you for bringing this great film to the festival. And I have to ask you, Paul, I mean, it wasn't an easy go of it. You were going to start your intention was to make it in America.
Sure.
That didn't quite happen. Tell me a little bit about the journey and some frustrations that you went through getting this made.
Yes, well, it started with the producer, Said Ben Said, who sent me the French novel.
Yeah.
And I read it. He asked, do you want to make this to a movie? And I read it and said, yes. I mean, it was intuitively, you know, I thought there was something innovative and I had not done and whatever, you know, there are many reasons why you do a thing, but I liked it from the very beginning. But I seen the background of Said, who had made movies with Polanski and Brian De Palma, Cronenberg, and now he's with Walter Hill. I thought, we thought that it would be an American movie, yeah. And I think he chose me because I'm living in the United States. So we translated the book in English, and then basically I went to an American scriptwriter that I thought was really good. I knew from other projects, and we wrote a script in English, translating everything that happened in Paris to Boston or Chicago or something like that, Northern America, and then we found out that from the point of view of financing, there was nobody interested in co-production. Yeah. But worse, of course, there was no actress of any name that wanted to do the part.
Right.
And so, we tried for months, and there was always a resolute no. There was not, let's say, let's talk about it or something.
Interesting. Like, do you think that because they were really scared, or what do you think
it
was?
Sure. Yeah. And especially the third act, of course.
Yes.
And the fact that it is not a revenge movie was, and that you move in a completely unpredictable, that you could not foresee direction. Was alienating, I thought, and very, and perhaps I would call that very un-American. And so they felt that it would be probably hurting their career, you know, although it's a magnificent part, of course. So on the one hand you would say, well, perhaps it's dangerous, but it's also fascinating and powerful, you know, because it's not that she refused to be a victim. Huh?
Absolutely,
I mean, there's a woman that really refuses that. Basically, she isn't, even when people show compassion, basically with her friends, and she sees that on their face that they're shocked and whatever. She didn't want to go further. Huh? She thinks basically it's done. Let's have dinner.
Right.
That's her attitude.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And that character basically, but that is already in the novel, of course. And that was probably a character that I didn't recognize on American terms.
No.
So then, of course, Said, pragmatic as always, called me and said, "It's not working in the United States. What about we do it if we go back to Paris
and translate it back into French
and everything back again?"
Wow.
And we knew that Isabelle wanted to do it anyhow. It was already months before we knew that. But we were, let's say, perhaps you should say, stupid enough to think that we could make it to American movie, and went back to her, let's say, I've called it humbly so.
Yeah.
But she was immediately yes.
She's so bold in this movie.
Yeah, she's very audacious.
Like what you know, really, like what really surprised you about her when you started to work with her?
Well, first of all, there would be something, certainly audacity.
Yeah.
But also a talent that I cannot even oversee.
Yeah.
I mean, she is really a category of talent on her own. I mean, I cannot imagine anybody being able and daring but mostly being able to do this. With all, you need audacity, but you need also talent, and you need also authenticity. I think this character this movie would have fallen apart if you would not have believed her. Then basically, even if you don't sympathize with her, even if she's perhaps somewhat alienating. But I think she's always authentic. You always believe that she is that way,
Absolutely.
even if you might have, let's say, feelings of unpleasant feelings because the way she the road she takes, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's still always that you feel that it's true.
Well, it's so interesting how, so many movies I've seen at TIFF, especially, how people deal with grief,
Right.
and the different ways of, and this is just one way of a
Of-
woman
yeah.
shocked, grief, whatever.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and basically the punishment she gets anyhow.
Yeah, yeah.
At the end.
It's, yeah,
Strangely enough.
yeah, how do you know women so well? Look at all the movies that you brought us.
Yeah.
You know women so well. How do you do that?
Because I like women.
Okay, good.
That's probably the only real answer. And basically, I always have enjoyed the company of women more than the company of men. I mean, I've expressed it, I think, I prefer to have coffee with a woman than beer with a man.
Way more interesting. Yeah, for sure.
No, well, I think so. Or I feel that there is always more openness.
Yes.
That you can basically open yourself up as a man much more with a woman. I can, at least, but I'm not the guy that sits with other males and discussing women and that stuff. I really want to talk to the women, and I don't want to talk about women. I want to really talk to women
Exactly.
and be with women, and I always have felt so.
Yeah.
And I'm married to a very strong woman.
Well, there you go.
And a very strong daughter.
That's
very
good.
opinionated.
Strong women in your life influences what you
And
do.
always female dogs.
It's funny. That's good to know. Lots of bitches around, right? There you go. I have to ask you. I mean, look, you've given us such unbelievable films, from high controversy to crazy action. I mean, what was the movie for you that really just changed your life? The one that you made that just turned your life around.
Turned around to do this, or turned around in general during
totally,
my whole career?
yeah, just your career. Like when you look back
There was
at
a
it.
movie basically. I don't know if you know. I was educated. I was as a mathematician.
Yeah, I know.
And after my studies, at that time you had to go in military service for 2 years, and then I got myself in the film department of the Navy. And that changed my life.
Wow.
Because and then I realized that I was that was really the most important moment. I made a documentary about the Dutch Marines that existed already in since 1665. So it was more than 350 years now they existed, Dutch Marines. And in my military service I made a movie about it, a documentary. And that made me really decide that I should abandon mathematics and go into film.
Wow.
I mean, so if you ask for something which is really existential, it was my military service.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, very interesting. That changed my life.
Yeah.
And of course, then the decision of my wife to say bye-bye to Holland and go to the United States for Robocop, that I didn't want to do because I thought it was silly, and that she basically then started to read and convinced that would be the second one,
right?
Making the transition in '85 to the United States. So it was not the movie that basically changed my life. It was let's say an event that changed my direction really in it. I mean, and one that made me realize what I really wanted, making movies, and the other one basically to explore other things than Holland.
Wow, amazing. I honestly wish I had more time. I have to share my time with you, but I thank you so much for all the films that you've given us.
Thank you.
And it's just a pleasure getting a chance to talk to you. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it so much.